The lakes of Wales are older than our cities, older than our churches. They have seen the rise and fall of kings, the collapse of mountains, and the slow crawl of time. But beneath this stillness lies something else, something far older still. Legends speak of monsters in these waters, of beasts that drag men beneath the surface, and of creatures glimpsed only in ripples, in fleeting shadows, and in whispered tales passed from generation to generation. From the Avank, the monstrous river beast said to drown entire villages, to Teggy, the elusive denizen of Teggy, to spectral women who rise from the depths with prophecies and poison kisses. These are not just ancient stories. To this day, sightings persist. Locals speak in hushed tones, cameras shake, eyewitnesses swear by what they saw. But are these creatures real? Are they spirits of the old world, survivors of a forgotten age? Or are we simply seeing patterns in the dark, fooled by nature's tricks and the mind's desire to believe? Join us as we descend into the chilling waters of Welsh myth and legend, where science, superstition, and something far stranger collide. Come with us as we ask, what really lives beneath? Please remember to like, share and subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification so you never miss out on new content from Dark Wales Tours. In the depths of Welsh folklore lies one of its oldest and most feared creatures, a monster that defies simple classification. It is neither fully beast nor spirit, neither fish nor phantom. It is ancient, violent, and forgotten by all but the shadows. The terrifying Avank. The legend of the Avank stretches deep into the roots of Welsh mythology. It is found in whispers throughout the Mabinogion, in scattered fragments of medieval manuscripts, and in the fog-bound memories of the land itself. Said to dwell in lakes such as Llyn yr Afanc near Betws-y-Coed, Llyn Barfog near Aberteifi, and later in the cold glacial deeps of Llyn beneath Snowdon. The Avanc was blamed for floods, drownings and dread. It has been described in countless, conflicting forms. Some call it a crocodile with iron scales, others a monstrous beaver with glowing eyes and claws sharp enough to rip through oxhide. In all its forms and all the stories, one thing stays the same. It is a predator of water, an avatar of chaos. One of the most enduring tales tells of a time when the Avanc thrashed so violently in its lake that it caused the River Conwy to overflow, flooding entire villages. In desperation, the people sought the help of a maiden. She approached the lake alone, singing a haunted lullaby that lulled the beast into a deep slumber. As it slept, chains were fastened around its limbs, and it was dragged away by a pair of mighty oxen to a remote mountain pool. Some say Llyn Ffonn Las, others claim Llyn Glaslyn, where it was cast into the depths, never to rise again, or so the story goes. But legends do not die easily in Wales. Sightings of the Avanc, or something very much like it, have continued well into the modern age. In the 1970s, hikers near Llyn Glaslyn reported hearing a natural thrashing beneath the still water, though no animal surfaced. In 1998, a wild swimmer emerged pale and shaking, claiming to have seen a dark, log-like shape submerge silently just meters from her. In 2017, a Bangor-based paranormal group visited Llyn Barfog and captured low rumbling vibrations on their hydrophones. Sounds, they said, made them feel as though something massive was watching from below. Could it be the same creature, imprisoned for centuries and now stirring once more? The Avanc, like many such creatures, may be more than just a tale. It may be a cultural memory of real danger. Floods in glacial Britain were often catastrophic. A sudden outburst flood from a natural dam might have wiped out early communities, leaving behind only silence, sorrow, and the need for an explanation. Some historians believe that stories like the Avank were born from trauma, encoded into myth. Others suggest more earthly explanations. The giant eels, known to grow far longer than most people realise, may be behind some of the sightings. The name Avank itself now means beaver in modern Welsh. Could a rare sighting of a beaver, a once extinct species in Britain, have sparked ancient imaginations, warping across centuries into a scaled demonic entity? Or could seismic activity creating bubbles or waves on otherwise calm waters have given the illusion of a monster thrashing beneath, with the imagination taken over? But the Avank is not alone. Around the world, similar tales repeat, like ripples across the surface of folklore. In Japan, the kappa drags victims into rivers. In the Orkney Islands, the skinless nukaleve brings plagues from the sea. In Ireland, the duberchow, a half otter, half hound creature, is said to haunt lakes and rivers. And in Scotland, of course, there is Nessie, the infamous Loch Ness monster, sighted for over a century, yet still elusive. Across cultures, lake monsters serve a purpose. They are warnings to stay away from dangerous waters. They are explanations for the sudden, senseless loss of loved ones, and they are mysteries, symbols of the unknown that live just beneath the surface of our world, and perhaps our minds. Whether the Avank is a living creature, a folk memory of floods, or a psychological echo passed down through generations, one thing remains clear: it still endures. In Wales, stories are never just stories, and in the stillness of mountain lakes, when the wind dies and the water lies black as oil, you might just feel it too, that watching presence, ancient and silent, lurking just below. The Avank may not be gone, it may only be waiting. In the shadow of the mountains in the heart of Gwynedd lies the largest natural lake in Wales, Teggy, or it is often called in English Bala Lake, or Lake Bala. On a calm day, the water lies still, mirror-like, surrounded by rolling hills and ancient forest. But beneath that tranquil surface lurks a presence long spoken of by locals and feared in whispers. They call it Teggy, Wales's answer to Nessie. Unlike the Avank, whose myth is steeped in medieval terror and divine punishment, Teggy is a more modern mystery, yet its roots may stretch just as deep. Some believe Teggy is the evolution of the Avank legend, shifted in time and name. Others insist it is something entirely different, a biological anomaly, a prehistoric survivor, or even a spiritual guardian of the lake. Reports of Teggy stretch back to the 19th century, but it was in the mid-20th century that the sightings truly gained momentum. In the 1970s, a flurry of local accounts described a long, dark shape gliding beneath the water, disturbing the surface in the stillest of conditions. Witnesses described something serpentine, with humps perhaps 15 to 20 feet long. In 1995, a group of holidaymakers claimed to see a black creature with a horse-like head breach the surface before vanishing without a ripple. In 2004, a retired police officer reported a disturbance in the water that couldn't have been wind or fish while he was out walking his dog along the northern shore. He said it felt like something was patrolling the lake, slow but watching. To this day, locals still talk of it. Some believe it's territorial, some say it's protective, others believe there may be more than one. Llyn Tegid itself is steeped in supernatural significance. According to Welsh folklore, it is the final resting place of the drowned city of Bala, destroyed by the gods for his people's arrogance. Some say the bells of that sunken city can still be heard on calm nights, ringing beneath the waves. There is also a legend that a local harpist by the name of Charles gave himself to the devil by feeding communion bread to dogs. He then drowned in the lake on his way home, with the spot where he sank having a cloud of smoke over it, even to this day. Perhaps Teggy then is not just a monster, but a sentinel, guarding the ruins of a forgotten world. But what could Teggy actually be? Skeptics, of course, have their explanations. Lake Bala is deep, over 40 metres in some places, and contains rare Arctic char, ancient glacial fish that may have migrated here during the last ice age. Some suggest Teggy is a misidentified giant eel, or even a group of otters swimming in formation. Others have pointed to subsurface currents caused by submerged springs and glacial channels that can create strange patterns and shapes on the surface of the water, illusions that could trick even trained eyes. But here's the catch. Many sightings happen during periods of perfect calm, when the lake is glassy and undisturbed. What's more, sonar readings taken during the 1998 amateur investigation revealed large moving shapes at depths where no known species should reside. The team concluded that while there was no evidence of a monster, there was certainly something unexplained down there. The comparisons to Nessie are unavoidable. Like Loch Ness, Lake Bala is remote, deep and steeped in legend. But while Nessie has become a cultural icon, often reduced to cartoons and souvenirs, Teggy remains largely unknown, whispered about only in pubs and among locals. That obscurity makes the sightings feel more sincere, less corrupted by commercial interest. As one witness put it, people here don't go looking for Teggy, they just see it, and they wish they hadn't. And across the world, similar creatures haunt the lakes of distant lands. The Mkelimembe in the Congo, the Okopogo in Canada's Lake Okakanan, the Lariosoro of Italy, each story follows a familiar shape. Deep water, ancient history, fleeting glimpses. Whether these are mass hallucinations, manifestations of a shared archetype, or simply the mind trying to make sense of the unknown, something persists. Teggy is not just a creature of the lake. It is a reflection of something deeper. Our fear of the unknown, our awe of ancient places, our suspicion that not everything in the natural world has been explained. Scientists dismiss the idea of a monster in Lake Bala. They point to known animals, to tricks of light, to folklore and fantasy, but science cannot explain the cold feeling in the air when you stand on the shoreline at dusk and sense that something is watching. Because whether Teggy is flesh and blood, myth and memory, or something strange altogether, the legend grows, the lake endures, and the waters remain deep, too deep to ever truly know. There have also been stories of another creature that emerges out of Welsh lakes, rivers, and other water sources, the Ceffyl Dŵr, the water horse. Where in Wales the Ceffyl Dŵr appeared depended on whether it would be a friendly, helpful spirit or a dangerous, malevolent spirit. In South Wales, if you saw the Ceffyl Dŵr and climbed on its back, it would take you as fast as lightning to the place you were travelling to, though some stories said if you spoke to it, it would throw you off its back. In North Wales, it was said that the Ceffyl Dŵr was a dangerous creature with fiery eyes who you should avoid at all cost. Not every danger in Welsh waters comes with teeth and scales. Some walk on two legs. Some wear the face of a woman. Beautiful, sad, but utterly inhuman. Throughout Welsh folklore, lakes are not just home to monsters. They are doorways, thin places, portals between this world and something older and deeper. And waiting there, often on the shore or just beneath the surface, is a figure who appears in stories across the centuries. The Lady of the Lake. She is not one woman, but many. Her legend changes shape like water, fluid, reflective and dangerous. Sometimes she is a goddess, radiant and kind, who gives magical gifts to those she favours. Sometimes she is a witch who lures men to their death. And sometimes she is a mourning ghost, weeping for a lost love, cursing the living for crimes long forgotten. Probably the most famous story of the Lady of the Lake is of course the story of how King Arthur received his magic sword, Excalibur. In some tales, Excalibur was the sword in the stone, which only the rightful king could pull out. In others, King Arthur actually had two magic swords during his kingship. The sword in the stone and another one that was gifted to him by the Lady of the Lake. Due to the confusing nature of all these versions, most retellings combine these two swords into one, with the majority having Excalibur being the sword in the stone, having been placed there, usually by an unknown entity. The 1998 TV miniseries Merlin is one of a few that shows Excalibur coming from the Lady of the Lake, though in this version she gives it to Merlin, who then later puts it into the stone for Arthur to pull out. In this version, after the final battle and Arthur's death, Merlin throws the sword back into the lake, giving it back to the lady herself. The 2008 BBC series Merlin shows a similar thing, with the title character being the one who was first gifted the sword before passing it on to Arthur. In these tales, the Lady of the Lake is therefore a supernatural spirit of the lake in human form. She appears in times of need and helps the heroes by gifting them magical weapons. But the Lady of the Lake is not always so gentle. In the north, tales from Llyn speak of a woman in white who appears to lone travellers near dusk, beckoning them toward the water with outstretched hands. Those who follow her are never seen again. In Llyn, it is said a pale woman walks the shore in fog, singing in a language no one understands. One shepherd claimed to hear her voice in his dreams before waking in the night, standing ankle deep in the lake with no memory of walking there. He left the village a week later and never returned. These aren't just ancient stories. In 2009, a group of campers near Llyn Avank reported seeing a figure in white standing on the opposite shore, motionless, watching for hours. When one of them crossed to investigate, she was gone. No footprints, no sound, just the stillness of the lake and the feeling something just beneath the surface. In 2022, a solo wild swimmer at dawn claimed to hear a voice calling her name from near the middle of the lake. When she turned to look, she was alone. So, what are these ladies of the lake? Are they fairies, ghosts, archetypes of divine feminine power? In the Celtic tradition, lakes and springs were considered sacred places, inhabited by fey beings who could bless or curse depending on how they were approached. Offerings were thrown into the water, coins, jewellery, weapons, as tribute to the spirits. Archaeologists have uncovered Bronze Age artefacts at the bottoms of lakes across Wales, often warped by fire or deliberately destroyed before being submerged. Perhaps a seal or a pact, or a prison. Some scholars believe the Lady of the Lake represents a collective memory of priestesses or druidic women, guardians of knowledge, demonized over time by Christian retellings. Others suggest these stories are symbolic of the unpredictable and seductive power of water itself, life-giving but capable of sudden death. There's even a darker theory that the lady is a psychological projection, a tulpa created by centuries of belief and repetition, now with just enough reality to whisper to those willing, or unlucky enough to hear her. Around the world, similar legends are told. The Rusalaka of Slavic folklore, drowned maidens who lure men to watery graves. La Llorona of Mexico, the weeping woman searching for her children. Even the Banshee of Ireland, whose scream foretells death, all share the same elements: femininity, tragedy, and the pull of water. They are not monsters in the traditional sense, but they are no less terrifying. And we are left with questions. When we gaze across the mirror of a Welsh lake, what exactly is looking back? Is it a memory, grief, something supernatural, or is it a story so old and powerful that it has taken on a life of its own? Perhaps it doesn't matter, because whether real or imagined, the Lady of the Lake waits, still, watching, calling, and if you hear her voice, you may never come back. So, what are we really seeing in the lakes of Wales? In the legends of the Avank, the shadows of Teggy, the whispers of the lady, are we confronting the unknown, or only the reflection of our own minds? To some, the answer is simple. It's folklore. It's psychology. The Avank was a metaphor for destructive floods, an ancient people's way of making sense of natural disaster. Teggy is a case of misidentified wildlife. The Lady of the Lake, a classic archetype of feminine mystery, repeated across cultures and centuries. It sounds like it could all be explainable, logical, and quite neat. But neat and logical explanations don't always hold water. Not when people keep seeing things, hearing things, feeling that presence just out of view. Not when sightings stretch across decades and the stories, separated by geography, culture and time, repeat themselves with uncanny consistency. Let's start with the science. In recent years, the idea of large undiscovered creatures in deep lakes has lost ground. Studies in Loch Ness using environmental DNA turned up no plesiosaurs, no mysterious monsters, just a soup of known organisms. So when skeptics look to Lake Bala or Llyn, they see the same story. Big fish, floating logs, waves caused by wind or seismic activity. Add in the power of suggestion, especially when you expect to see something, and it's no wonder people report monsters. But that doesn't explain everything. Take the sonar readings from the lake in the 1990s. A team of amateur researchers using side-scan sonar captured multiple large moving signatures at depths below 30 meters. They were too large to be fish, too slow to be boats, and too deep for surface debris. No explanation was ever agreed upon. Some dismissed it, others filed it away, but the data remains. Or the consistent eyewitness reports, the descriptions of Teggy as horse-headed or serpentine, seen decades apart by people with no knowledge of each other. The pale figure on the far shore, the recurring hum heard at Llyn that even audio engineers have struggled to explain. So what if we're looking in the wrong direction? What if these creatures are not biological, but interdimensional? It's an idea increasingly whispered in the edges of paranormal theory and comes up over and over again. We've mentioned it a couple of times already that certain places, lakes, caves, forests, are thin places, where the veil between worlds grow porous. That the beings we call monsters are not cryptids at all, but visitors from somewhere else. Not space, not fantasy, but another frequency of reality, a different layer of the same landscape. We see them not when they arrive, but when something slips and they bleed through. A real life upside down, if you will. The Welsh lakes, with their deep glacial origins and long spiritual history, may be ideal sites for such phenomena. Water conducts energy, sound, memory. Could it also conduct something stranger? This is where science begins to falter and where the paranormal takes over. Because if these sightings are not hoaxes, not madness, not even mistaken identity, then we're looking at something far more unsettling. That something ancient, intelligent, and completely outside our understanding exists in our world, and has always existed. That the Avank wasn't myth, but manifestation. That Teggy isn't a relic of the past, but a sentinel of the now. That the Lady of the Lake isn't a ghost, but a gatekeeper. These things may not want to be seen, or maybe they do. Maybe the moments when people catch a glimpse, hear the voice, feel the dread, perhaps that's intentional, a message, a warning, or a test. But to what end? Perhaps that is the purpose of the legend itself. Not to scare us, not to explain floods or fish or fog, but to remind us that we don't know everything, that there are still places in this world where logic breaks down, where cameras fail, where silence thickens into presence. In the end, we are left with two possibilities. Either the monsters and spirits of Welsh waters are figments of our ancestors' fears, imaginative, poetic, and ultimately harmless, or they are real. Not necessarily flesh and bone, but real in the sense that they can be felt, seen, heard, and perhaps, if we're not careful, followed. So the next time you find yourself by a still lake in Wales, far from town, with the mist closing in and the air colder than it should be, listen closely, watch the water, and don't answer if it calls your name. Because whether beast, spirit, or something else entirely, something waits beneath. So whether you're a skeptic or a believer, keep watching the lakes. Keep listening, because in Wales, the water is never still for long. Something stirs, something remembers. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed exploring the depths of Welsh folklore, and if you have experienced something similar, please let us know. Sound off in the comments below, pop us an email, let us know on social media. We love hearing your stories. And if you do want us to feature your story on a future video, please get in touch, please let us know. Your support and kind words really means the world to us, and we cannot thank you enough for being here today. Please remember to like and subscribe, as that really helps us out massively. And if you really want to support the channel even further, you can even send us a super thanks as a small way to help us keep exploring these strange tales and history of Wales. And remember, the next time you're near still water, don't look too long. Something might look back, and if it does, don't blink, don't move, and whatever you do, don't be the first to look away. Until next time, be careful out there.